A ver. Hola, hola a todos. Hola. Good morning, good morning. This is so exciting. This is so exciting. This is the first time this is the first time that I'm going to speak English after 15 years. So if I have any mistake, forgive me. And actually, I was going to share. I'm trying to share the screen. Gracias, gracias. Gracias, Marco. Bueno. If I can. If not, I will going to share the whole screen, but I won't be able to see the chat. So I need just 1 minute, okay? Okay, ecran, the whole, vale, la pantalla completa, okay. I have to, okay, I'm recording and I'm going to share the whole screen. Okay, vale. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I'm making you wait, but this is. Okay. Can you see, no? I think so. So I'm going to start. First of all, I want to thank you, all of you, to be here, to be in my session. For me, it's so exciting to be part of this project. I'm volunteered, and I have special thanks to my dear colleague, Dolores Coronado. She encouraged me, and she helped me a lot. So thank you. Gracias, Tolo. Gracias. As you know, the aim of this short talk is about how to reduce the teacher talking time in Spanish class, and giving effective instructions to increase student talk time. And I'm going to share how the idea came out, the importance of TTT, and I have my checklist. So I'm going to share it with you, and the reflection part. So I'm going to start. After the classroom observation that made Dolores, actually I was going to prepare something else, but after the observation, after the reflection with the questions of Dolores, I made this reflection. I decided to focus on the importance of giving good instructions in Spanish class. And so, as a part of my professional development project, I decided to talk about the instructions. And actually, I'm trying to use lots of technology, lots of different activities, as all language teachers do. But I realized that I'm spending so much time preparing activities, but there was a missing part. I thought that the activities, it's simple, but it was simple for me. The students, they come to my class. It's the first time they listen something in Spanish. the activity is new for them. Sometimes they don't know how to use, they don't know experience with some applications. So I thought that so it's difficult. Actually, it's difficult. I think that we are going to have fun, but sometimes it can be chaotic. So um, the instruction giving has a direct effect of learning. I started to search, read more and more about the instructions, and it was challenging for me to see if it's a new activity, it becomes chaotic, and if it's not working, it fails, and students when they don't understand what they are supposed to do, instead of having fun, it can be a chaotic lesson. So this is important. The instruction giving is a huge part, important part. And sometimes if we use English in giving instructions, actually I avoid giving because to not to make them learn with errors the pronunciation. So maybe I say a few words, but sometimes we need to explain things in other language, in Turkish, in English, or in other language. But we have to remember that the giving the instructions in the target language in our class Spanish is the part of the comprehension. They have to understand the instructions, they have to listen them in Spanish. So when they have writing exams, they don't understand if we tell them in English, if we give them the instructions in English, and when they have a Spanish exam, they read but they can't understand, so they give wrong answers. So the instructions, they are important. They have to be in the target language. And in this process, when I started to search about the instructions, I had difficulty because in Spanish there are not many studies or articles. So I'm reading the studies articles in English, and David Nunan is important linguist, so I would like to share some citas from David Nunan, and he indicates that listening, the teacher talk, if the teacher talks too much during the lesson, this not helps to develop students' listening comprehension and communication skills. And he says that the researchers demonstrate that the teachers do approximately 50 to 80% of talking in classrooms, but we have to remember that the TT should not exceed 30% of the classroom time. So what I did, I checked my instructions. And what I am now doing is planning the instructions. And the best way to write the instructions for multi-test activity is when you are preparing the lesson plan. And for this plan, I have my checklist, and I would like to share it with you. I'm sure all of you have, you have experience in class, but sometimes we just forget about this part. So I'm just refreshing your mind. And my checklist, the first one is simple and clear, and I say, pues, make sure that your instructions are simple and clear for all students, because we want them to participate also, all the students, not one part. So simple and clear for all of them. and grade your language. And this is because avoid challenging grammatical structures. This means just saying por favor in Spanish, you can be polite. There's no need to be make long sentences. They can't understand. If we say, could you please go to the page 40? Instead, you can just say, página 40, page 40, please. So grade your language, it's important. And the third one, I think this is one of the most important, divide in parts, so step by step. When it comes to complicated activity, it's very helpful. Break it up into parts so you can explain one thing at a time, and they can have all the things, all the information in their mind. So we have to go step by step. It helps a lot in my class, boys. I think it's important. And actually, because that was the first stage, the first part when you plan the class. But when you are in the class, the second stage, the second step is make sure that you have the attention of all the students. If they're not listening, so it's not going to going to work. So make sure if when we have online lessons, tools are there helping a lot to make sure of the attention 100%, and the attention is so important. Write on the board the instructions. To have them in the board helps a lot, and make it also we have to remember that they must be simple and clear as it can be. And for example, write 3 sentences about your house. You have 5 minutes, and time limit, it's important also, so they can focus on. They know that they have just 5 minutes. They try to finish it. And the material, this is something makes me think. Actually, it depends on the activity, but the most part that it's better to don't hand out the material before you finish giving the instructions, the directions, because they are looking at the paper and they start to say that this is complicated, I don't understand, I missed this part, what we are going to do. So it's better to hand out the material before you after you give the instructions when you finish them. And meanwhile, I'm using I have my bit emoji, personal bit emoji. This helps me a lot to make it easier to facilitate the understanding. I'm using emojis, emoticonos. Okay, and we have to use imperative forms. Listen, I'm using this one to select the correct answer, or if they are going to work in pair, or if they are going to make a dialogue. So I'm using that one, and read, and I think it helps a lot. And what okay. So before we start the activity, ICQs, they are so important, but I think that it can be another project because if we ask them, do you understand? Probably they will say yes. So this is important, how we ask the question. We have to ask the right question, and I'm studying this part, ICQs and CCQs. So I'm just right here. I've just written here a few examples. After for checking the instructions, we can make these questions. For example, do we write full sentences or keywords? And we can ask them how many different sentences are there. They say there are 5, 6. And if they are working pairs, we can ask, can you look at your partner's picture? They say, sí, no. Entonces, articles, they are important to be to be sure if they understand or not. And modeling, of course, it's important. Actually, personally, I always need an example, and we can shall we demonstrate. We can select a student or a group of students to demonstrate what we are going to do, and it helps students to understand what they are supposed to do. And then when we are sure, so we can start the activity. And by increasing student talk time, we are gently forcing them to learn new vocabulary, and they help each other. We are not talking, but they are talking to each other, and they overcome the barriers of shyness, and it helps a lot. So after all these things I've studied, I was trying to make it real in my classes. I'm still trying to make it. So this is my reflection. The less you speak, the more they speak. So if we want them to learn to speak a language, we have to let them. So we have to give them that opportunity to speak. So muchísimas gracias, que ha sido increíble. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.